Hello and welcome to FFT Final Fantasy Talks. I'm your host, Ryan.
And I'm Jesse.
And today we've got a lot of interesting stuff for you. In particular, we've got some new tournament footage, and this stuff is going to be pretty important because this is a really good insight into the Final Fantasy meta. We've got plenty of good players playing today. We've got Dan, and we've got a couple of others, and these guys all play the game semi-professional, semi-competitive. What else is on the list for today, Jesse?
We can talk about a couple of the new cards that have been spoiled. There's some pretty crazy cards coming out in Opus 9.
The new Chaos?
Yeah.
Brendan sent me the new Chaos.
That's
and
pretty ridiculous.
That Chaos looks super sick. It looks like it's definitely a card that needs to go to help, especially for like fire. It's a good boost.
Oh yeah. Fire Ice was already pretty good, but they're going to get a big bump off that card.
And what else is on the list?
We have two matches. One's myself and Dan, and myself and William, who's a new player. Which
William!
Is good to see, and he's actually playing a borrowed mono lightning competitive deck.
Whose deck is that?
That's Brendan's.
Oh, you borrowed Brendan's?
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, cool. So we get some insight. So Brendan just recently finished his competitive mono lightning, so we're going to have a very good look. I did not compete in this tournament on Sunday, so this is all going to be very fresh to me.
Yeah, and then we actually have our local qualifier coming up this Sunday. So you can kind of see what people are going to be playing there.
I'm pretty nervous. We just got done building the Samurais of the Seventh Dawn. And this is it. It's going to be trial by fire. There's not going to be a lot of room for practice. I think I might be practicing today. I might be practicing tomorrow.
Definitely just try to get in as much practice as possible before that so you can get your deck down.
And it's not necessarily complete. It's missing one LeBro.
Which isn't that big of a deal.
It really isn't.
She's just a help win more because you're already getting pretty big guys with those samurais.
Yeah, the fires in general seem to hold their own. It's the lightning that needs the boost, and I've already got the two Lulus in there for that.
Good. Yep. Recover like a champ. So, Marco, you want to take us over to Final Fantasy Magnet, and we'll look at those spoilers.
So the only one I have seen is the new Chaos. I actually haven't seen it. Brendan would not stop talking about how he thinks Fire's coming back competitively. What do you think?
So yeah, just bring us to the spoilers. Yeah, actually, there's a lot of really good support for Fire in this new set coming up.
But is Fire coming back competitively? And that's the question that I want to ask. And
I honestly, I'm tending to lean towards it already in 8 has come back into the competitive scene. I've seen some really good Fire decks, or even Splash Fire has come back into the competitive scene. So I think Mono Fire could be competitive in Opus 9.
Well, you see, I was actually under the impression that Square wasn't really paying a lot of attention or having a hard time getting Fire to be particularly competitive, and I think it was because of its removal. Like it deals damage, doesn't reduce, and the preference is reducing, right?
Right. Yeah. With cards like was it Baltaz and Ifrita coming out, and then that new Chaos, and I actually think that is Nil the Opus 9 buy box promo is actually going to be a really good card.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that they're going to get a little bit more like wide range of abilities rather than what they're stuck in right now, which is deal damage.
Right. Okay, that's cool. It seems like it. The cards that we've already went over were pretty damn good. Okay, so what's the first new stuff that we need to take a look up at?
So let's talk about the new guy from Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. He's a 3-cost Earth forward who searches out monsters, which, by the way, is this card and another card, I believe, are the reason why Dottaluma is getting banned in Opus 9.
The reason? Okay, please elaborate more.
Well, so Dottaluma was already a problem in our meta because he could he was hard to respond to, because if he was chosen by someone's ability, he dealt 4. If he was ever taken damage, he dealt 4. Now, where he really got broken was in Cactuar, who dealt 1,000 to any forward. So you just tapped your little Cactuar, which you can have 3 of on the field, and dealt 1k. So then it just pinged up to 4k to the next person. So you could deal 8 if you had 2 on the field, and 12k if you had 3 Cactuars on the field. But the problem was getting it out. So that's why it was acceptable, because you had to get out all of them. Now, this guy...
Larkesia.
Larkesis. When you enter the field, choose 1 monster in your break zone, add it to your hand, and then you can pay 2 earth and dull him, search for 1 monster, and add it to your hand.
Oh, that's so good.
So they've removed your Cactuar, you put him in hand. When you enter the field, you search for your Cactuar. See? So that ends up a lot more consistency to it. And there's another one that also searches, I believe it's into the field, which I can't remember right now. So why don't we talk about the new White Mage for the new backup White Mage?
Okay. Hey, that artwork looks pretty sick.
Which is from Tactics Advanced 2, which I'm a huge Tactics lover. And I really love all of the Tactics Advanced and Tactics Advanced 2 artworks as well.
My friend Tesla, you know him. You just met him the other day. We played him a couple of games with him. He's a number cruncher at heart, and he was purely choosing his decks based on whether or not he liked the game. And so he thought that every Tactics Advanced 2 game must be shit because he didn't like it.
Oh, okay.
So is there so I don't like tactics. So let's get that forward. So I don't understand it because I don't like the whole chessboard things like Fire Emblem, that kind of stuff.
Right.
That what else?
Not one for turn-based strategy.
Form. I don't like turn-based strategy in general, and I never liked the whole like chessboard gimmick with the crazy complicated rule set. So my question is the second one crappy, or is as a tactics fan, what's up with that?
I mean, my favorite is the original Tactics, but honestly, more people I talk to, I find that they really like Tactics Advanced 2 better than they like Tactics Advanced. And everyone's like, oh, Tactics was just all right, and I'm a huge regular, just ordinary. Tactics is my favorite. Best story. Actually, I think they're all good games, but I'm a huge I love turn-based strategy, especially Battlefield turn-based strategy. I used to play Lords of the Realm and Civ and.
Okay, so I like Civ, but that's
like nation management. It's a little different.
There's a lot of difference between tactics and civilization. You've got
one's like combat strategy, and the other's like world building strategy.
There's a lot to Civ. We'll have to on my podcast. We should probably talk about Civ a bit more because I'm a big, huge Civilization fan, and I'm actually a big fan of the 3x, 4x strategy games in general.
Yeah.
I hate any of those exploitation games in real time. I think they're awful in real time. I would never want to play them in real time.
Rise of Nations.
Thank you. No, just nothing.
I played a shit out of Rise of Nations when I was like 10 years old. I thought that was awesome, mostly because I could play with my brothers, and I could always just destroy them by building wonders.
I mean, I like RTS games. Like Command & Conquer is really cool, and was that StarCraft? I think it's StarCraft.
StarCraft.
That stuff is kind of cool, but when it comes to my exploitation games, the amount of thought you need to put into it, I think necessitates turns.
Yeah, I can see that, and that's where actually, when I was a kid, my brothers failed was because they had to think about the thing, and I just played the Iroquois and built all the wonders in one. I didn't even bother to build troops. I was just build the wonders, because you had 50% faster builder speed with the Iroquois, and you could just build wonders super fast. So
what's from someone who doesn't actually come from the Tactics Advanced thing? So is there the consensus is that more people tend to prefer Tactics Advanced 2, and why is that?
I just more rounded out game. I think they just buffed it out a little bit more. And then a lot of people like the story better too. But like I said, I was story was all right.
Okay, so what makes this new White Mage worthy of note here?
I like the art.
Yep, I like the art too.
When White Mage enters the field, you can pay 1 water. If you do so, draw a card. Which isn't bad.
Okay.
So for your turn 2, that could be a good turn 2. You ditch a card to play it, and then tap your other water forward to draw yourself a card. And card draw is just good.
Okay, that makes sense. Happy that they're definitely doing more of that original artwork.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else is on the list?
So we talked about Ifrita.
Ifrita. She was really cool.
Let's talk about the judge. The
Bergen.
yeah,
Bergen cost 8K.
who I've seen lots of memes about with the eggplant.
Okay.
Well,
please
you'll know
explain.
when the art is on screen. There's just an eggplant emoji on his waist.
Is this the one right here?
This is the one.
I do not. Oh, okay, I get it. He's doing that thrusting motion. Observeth, knave,
so-
my penis.
Exactly. So I love this art too. I actually really like all the Mobius art. I'm not a fan of the game itself because I'm not a huge fan of like mobile games, but I love all of the artwork.
I've never actually played
great.
Mobius.
So first, let's take a while to look at this gorgeous artwork of his hip thrusting action.
I actually think the background is cooler than the character itself.
I just like knights and armor is cool. But he's a 3-cost 8K, which right out of the box, like without his abilities, that is really good.
All right, you can
3 cost should be 7Ks, like at normal.
Right. It says you can pay with CP produced by.
You can only play him
okay.
in
you
fire.
can only play him with fire backups.
Yep.
And when Bergen blocks or is blocked, deal 7K to the forward that blocks.
Yep.
Or is blocked by Bergen. Fuck yeah, that's so good.
So so blocking him is a big oof. Getting blocked by him is an even bigger oof. Because no doubt, I mean, and then he's got his pay 1 fire and 1 generic, choose a 4 and deal at 1K, just in case that's not enough.
Okay.
Now you see that's at block, so that's before damage declaration phase.
That's a card I need in my deck.
So
that's so good.
Bergen becomes blocked. If they blocked with a 7K, it will die before it deals damage to Bergen. Because it's when he becomes blocked, they take the damage. So that's before the damage resolution phase where they deal damage to each other.
Oh wow.
So that you go, okay, you're going to block him. I'm going to dump 4K or 4 CP into his ability and deal 2K to your guy. Which
really
means he's
good.
taking 9K and it dies before damage.
Oh, Marco,
That is
we're
a
going to have
really
to
good
open
card.
up so many Opus 9 packs. There's so much good stuff in this pack.
All right, let's go to the next.
What's the next one we're looking at?
Did we talk about Rosa already?
I believe we did. Yeah,
Let's. Yeah, I think we already talked about Rosa in the last one.
we
what-
talked
we-
about Hazmat. So I'm actually really interested. What's up with that Sid of Clan Gully?
Yeah, let's look at the new Sid of Clan Gully.
The artwork on it, it's got like some comic book screen tones and shit on it.
Which you've seen a little bit in the new set from the TA as well, TA2. Which is, he's a 2-cost Sid of the Gully instead of a 3.
Oh, crap.
And you can pay 1 lightning and dull him, discard 1 category FFT A2 forward, put Sid of the Gully into the break zone and choose 1 active forward and break it. So it is a specific cost, so kind of like an S, but it can be any category TA2.
So you could
Right. So if as long as in a TA2 deck, it's good. So
you
could
kill off
technically
the white mage for that.
free cost. Right. Yeah.
So you
Or
could
out
play
of hand. Yeah.
Oh, it has to be out of hand.
It's discard, right?
Oh, discard. Okay, I see.
Yeah. So it's out of hand, which actually, so it's pretty much a 3-cost ability that breaks him. So it's a 3-cost break, choose 1 active forward and break it, which isn't bad given that he's only a 2-cost.
That's pretty sick. And this is
I also like his art. I like his big pointy nose.
yeah, I found that pretty humorous. He still looks as much like Ganondorf as ever.
Yeah. I think it's the horns. Or those bushy eyebrows.
So this is a lot of like much needed removal that Lightning has been craving, aside from like Ramu or Black Knight. This is something that Lightning's kind of needed for a while.
So let's talk about the 2-cost Gao.
Gao. Okay, we got a new Gao. If you control a monster, Gao gains 2,000 power. That's okay. And if you control 3 or more monsters, this doesn't seem as good as the original Gao, the other Gao.
Right, but in a monster deck, he'll be pretty good because that means he's going to be a 7K Brave for 2.
Right, but if you, in the other one, he gains 2K per monster.
Yeah, but he's also more expensive.
Yes.
Also, doesn't he have an S?
I don't know if he has an S.
If he does, that's also a good reason to run this guy.
Oh, well, if that's the case, if you're running a monster deck, Gaos definitely do both Gaos. There's no reason not to.
Not to run both, because you get one in hand, you play it. And then this one you can intentionally kill because he's low enough. You can intentionally attack and use him as a blocker afterwards to play the other one.
Right. So there's not a lot to be lost there.
No, for 2, a 2 cost 7k is pretty good, straight up. 2 cost 7k with Brave.
That's the thing that I seem to care about is like the Brave part. Like the fact that...
Especially in a monster one.
This dude, he'll sit there and... I've learned that if you just play your cards right, a Brave is free damage almost every turn.
Yeah.
And
it can stop your opponent from attacking too.
And I'm going to give my 1k Brave. Come at me now, guys. So Brave is only an effect or like a mechanic that's only really useful if you have the damage to support yourself. I know that, damaging the player only does, no matter what, will only do 1 damage, but most of the time your Brave is just a safe way to attack, and you'd rather your Brave
be a big guy. So yeah, pretty much if you had a 5k Brave, I mean, it's nice that he didn't dole to attack, but you're probably not going to block with him.
All right, what's next? Gao is a great tech for any monster deck, especially with the original Gao.
Let's talk about the new Ultimecia. I don't know if we talked about her yet.
No, we did not. Tiny Ultimecia.
So the new Ultimecia is...
she's not a forward.
She's a backup, 4-cost backup. That when she enters the battlefield, each player reveals the top card of his or her deck. Each player who revealed that character may put it to the field. So if it's a backup, if it's a forward, or it's a monster, it gets to the field.
It's a backup Schrodinger.
But it goes to the field, so it's really good. You know how we were talking about a Golbez archetype deck where you put a bunch of expensive guys in to cheat them onto the field?
Right, and this is what you would also want in that deck because it does exactly the same thing.
You can even cheat in your Golbez. And then her break ability is, I believe it's pay 2 water and 2 generic and tap her, put her into the break zone, choose 1 forward, put it on top of its owner's deck. So you could even play her, and then next turn use that ability to put whatever they cheated in on top of their deck again.
Or you could use that defensively. So, for example, if your Golbez is about to die, you break her, put him on top.
Yeah. We didn't talk about Mind Flayer yet last time, did we? Which I just like that we had a Mind Flayer.
No, we did talk about Mind Flayer, and he's a low cost, really cheap, and he draws a card on top of his really cool stuff. Mind Flayer was just... He was overall like just a really nice card to put in.
Mind Flayer.
He's not like a game changer. He's just nice.
So let's talk about Sylph. I know we haven't talked about her yet.
No, I didn't get to see the new Sylph. It looks like Sylph. Oh, she's kind of cute looking in this.
I like the art. So it's from Dissidia, Final Fantasy.
What? Which one? Because I'll tell you what, the only Dissidia Final Fantasy I know that really used summons was the one that came out on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, probably that one. I don't know.
In all my time, like, anyone who wants to talk about it in the comments, please do, because I haven't seen Sylph in the fucking game.
Yeah, just tell us which one it comes from. But anyways, do you also think it's weird that it's Dissidia Final Fantasy and not Final Fantasy Dissidia?
Well, according to what you were saying, Dissidia is a completely separate game, quote.
Yeah, quote unquote, because it's all Final Fantasy games mashed together.
But so with that logic, I personally would really, really like it if they started putting their other properties. If they're actually using that logic, I would love to see Dissidia with Hitman and Dissidia with all that kinds of stuff.
So she's a 1-cost EX.
Sylph, right?
Sylph.
Could you pull up Sylph, please? Thank you.
And then all forwards you control gain 1k power until end of turn you draw a card. She straight up nets you a CP, regardless of how you play her.
She seems the same as the other Sylph. What's the...
No, the other Sylph, which is...
Yeah, Marco, what does the other Sylph do?
Pull it up on Mognet. So... if she's 1-cost, right? There's actually we're seeing a lot of powerful card draw 1-cost summons. One crate across the field may not change the battle. She's an
Right.
EX, which could change your blocking strategy.
Right.
But she nets you a CP.
Choose one forward. Activated. All the forwards you control gain 1,000.
So
okay.
the old Sylph is also an EX, but it activates a forward and bumps, not draws you a card.
Okay. Okay. So that's
So the
real
card draw on
difference.
this one, if you play it with your backup, you're gaining a CP. If it hits an EX, you're just getting free card.
Okay. Okay.
And card advantage, as we know, is very important.
All right. Yeah, seems okay. I guess it's kind of situational. You have to sit around and sit there and say which one is the one you're going to need for your particular strategy.
Why not both? They're so cheap.
Well, because you only get 50 cards.
Oh, that's right. I'll just put in your boss monster deck, guys.
Yeah. You put all of them
How are
in.
you going on your boss monster deck? How far are you up?
So I've got like a mass of 80 cards, and there's just no cohesive strategy to it. I basically have thrown together as many archetypes that have synergy, so that if I come up with one first,
You start playing that.
I just start playing that.
Okay.
And so far it's like okay. I mean, this is gonna sound awful, but like it's not destroying anything yet the way I feel like a boss monster should.
Right. I actually need to reconstruct mine because our side event is going to be boss monster.
Oh, you guys are gonna have a boss monster at RSG?
Yeah, for the local, because we have to have side events, and we're gonna do like challenges, and then we're gonna do some boss monster too.
What's prizes for that kind of shit? Are there even gonna be prizes?
Yeah, so we have like kind of like an achievement sort of thing, which is gonna be like if you do this, whoever dealt the most damage in a single turn, whoever has the most Final Fantasy 15 characters on the field.
Do you really need to fix your boss monsters? That thing fucking ruins everybody.
I've deconstructed it a little bit to put to other decks.
I didn't. The best card in that deck starting out is Galdes because he immediately secures the field, and
It was like if you remove him, he's hurting you.
right, and because now you have to have a semi-decent board to start removing him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you in turn ruin your own board for removing Galdes. So he's so good for boss monster. He really is.
Yeah, he is. I think I took the Veritasuses out for sure because I had 3 Veritasuses in there. But I've put them in my competitive deck now. So.
And are you gonna put them? Are you gonna put them back in?
Oh, no, because I got to play the competitive deck in the local.
But
If I
why-
don't play Dragoons, which I might because they're really fast.
so you're actually gonna play the Dragoons?
I
Interesting.
might play the Dragoons. It's really a toss up between my Warriors of Darkness, which are just very consistent, or my Dragoons, because I can sometimes they win in like 2 to 3 turns.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Because like if you can just vomit out just like a whole bunch of 2-cost Dragoons or 1-cost Dragoons in the case of the new Opus 8 Dragoon that reduces its cost, like you can win really fast because they all have haste because of Barbara.
right, and then the water
It helps
lightning
it
dragon
go
it goes
really fast, like because you have all that card draw. If they hit you, you don't care if you take any damage in that deck. Pretty much, like you just hit hard and fast. And if they drop something and they hit you with it, you're like, okay, that's fine. Please hit my card draw EXs.
Nice. That's I still haven't tried out my chocobos at a tournament, and I guess I will have to sometime in the future. For now, though, it's going to be sitting around with those samurais and those scions
Yeah.
and figuring them the hell out.
So I know we already talked about Regis. I just love him. He's like Big Daddy Regis.
Yeah, I'm happy that there's more Final Fantasy 15 stuff coming into the game.
Did you see the new? We'll get around. I'm sure he's on here. The bad guy from Niflheim. Hey, look, we can
there's
talk
Core.
about Core now because he's not. They have one not in Japanese.
If he's cost 2, 5k forward, if you control Core or card name Regis, it gains 2k, which is okay. And when Core a Final Fantasy 15 forward enters a field until the end of the turn, Core gave 1,000 power and brave. This is not as badass as Core in the video game.
So Core is a 7k if you control Regis, and Regis is he's a 2-cost, which isn't bad. And then when he enters the field, he gives himself 1k, which is kind of weird, unless you give him brave or haste, which they must be putting some sort of synergy in with that, because I haven't seen anything that gives haste so far in 15. So he'd be a brave 8k if at 15 enter the field, and you had Regis.
I guess the point of core is because like Earth is so slow. I guess the point of core is that this is Final Fantasy 15's version of the stall card. But
Yeah.
I don't ever think that the Chocobros really needed stall, because like
No, they're pretty good.
they're fast.
Yeah. For Earth, they're very fast. They're also quite low cost, unless you're thinking about Prompto and fucking Ignis.
It never fails. Prompto is always in your opening hand.
But he's such a good card. I even have him in my Warriors of Darkness, because if my opponent has a dominating field, I'm just like, I'll play Prompto.
Oh, yeah.
Or you hit an EX and you're like, break that shit.
Exactly. Prompto's
Two. If they have 4, you remove 2, and if they have 1, you remove 1. Or if they have less than 4, you remove 1. So like you're getting them down to 2 cards or 1 card. Like
they really need to make a forward version of Prompto, because I think a backup really underplays how much Prompto is an attacker. I actually would have, if I were the one designing the cards, I actually would have placed Iggy as a backup, because he does all the buffing and the debuffing and stuff.
For sure.
It just made more. It made
He
more
could
sense.
have just been he searches, which makes sense, because he's just support. What he really should do, honestly, is they should have a forward Prompto, and Iggy should be the backup who buffs Ignis, who buffs Noctis, Prompto, and Gladiolus. He should do 1k buff to the cards named Noctis, Gladiolus, and Prompto, and he should search for Gladiolus, Noctis, or Prompto.
And he should have an S, and what was that really mark? S.
Yeah, it would be like do double damage if Nocto, Promptus, or Ignis deals damage this turn.
Yeah, that would be so sick. So sick. Here we are designing your cards for you, Square Enix.
Go make this card.
Let's
talk about Seek,
the Lightning 7.
Yeah, this big ugly crystal horned pig man.
He's pretty all right.
He's a 7 cost backup.
He just breaks.
He's
whatever.
Odin in the form of a backup. If you're going to cast Odin, which you never were, you could play Seek instead, because he gives you.
Actually, that's kind of an incentive, because you never really wanted to play, Odin, and in this case, now you have something that will forever start generating CP.
Now, if he had an EX, this card would be played so much, but it doesn't, and he's very high cost.
I honestly would not. I think that the whole generating CP thing warrants him not having an EX. If he had an EX, he should have a different EX burst than that effect.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I feel like he would see. I don't see him being played in a lot of decks. If he does, it's going to be in a deck that's going to cheat him out. But if he was 6 costs, he'd see play.
Makes sense. I think he's definitely worth a consideration. I'm sure someone out there can figure out how to break.
He's going to go into a deck for sure. All the cards that ever get printed are in someone's deck. Unlike Magic, where there's that one 20 cost 2/2 that does nothing.
Or what was that one awful card? One with nothing.
Yeah.
Just discard your whole hand.
Okay. So let's talk about this 4 cost Earth. Gareth. Birdman with horns. I like him.
If you control 5 or more Earth characters, Gareth gains 2k. Now that's
the 4 cost 8, who is a standard unit type, so you can have 3 of them, and he becomes a 10k if you control 5 Earth characters.
Mono Earth.
That's a good card.
This is a playmaker for Mono Earth.
Yeah. Actually, even I would imagine Earth Wind with standard unit. Cost reducing Warrior of Light. Because you could with that guy you can dump out a lot of really cheap Earth characters and stuff and draw a lot of cards with that.
And then with him on the is that the win one you're talking about?
Yeah, the win one that when standard unit enters the field, untap 2 backups.
And then when he attacks, you're swinging.
Yeah, they buff all by 2k.
Yeah,
so then these guys are 11 or 12k that you played for 2.
So good. This guy is cool.
I like him. I actually really like his art too.
Also, be
And
good in.
I like that they've gone away from the like art, and then because there's no background, like making a bigger washed out version in the background. Because I actually like his art, but I wouldn't like it if there was a bigger washed out version of him in the background.
the weird reflecty thing. It works. It works
On some cars, it works.
Some now with Gareth, I think that this has a lot of good potential as a really nice alt for if you're doing like something like a monk beatdown.
Yeah.
This guy is such.
He could just
good
be put in
support.
there because he's a 10K. He could just sit there and block everyone.
Oh yeah, he's the wall. He's
Yep.
he would become the paladin of that deck.
Yeah.
Just like where's the what was the other one, the really cool fire guy we were just talking about, the one that like if you block him.
Oh yeah. What Balmog? What's his name?
Dude, he was so good. Bergen, there you go, Bergen.
Balmog.
And he's essentially Fire's paladin, but I think he's got a little more utility than a paladin.
Yeah.
He's got that strong.
He's cheaper too. You can actually play him paladin. You get in your hand and you're like, I don't know if I want to play this guy. So let's talk about Chaos Mobius.
Yes, this card is sick.
I really like his job because I was like, I really want to build a king deck. There's not a lot of kings out there.
Okay,
Look, we
so
got another king.
Dark, cost 6. When Mobius enters the field, if the cost is paid to play Chaos, included Fire CP, deal 5k damage to all the Forager controls. If the cost was paid, included Ice, your opponent discards 1 card, and if the cost paid includes Lightning, select 1 monster and put it in the break zone. It is awesome, and in Lightning Fire, that is kick-ass. That is so kick-ass.
This could easily be kicked with all 3 of those abilities. Discard 1 fire, 1 ice, and 1 lightning. Play Chaos, and he kicks all of these. Discard a card, deal 5k to everyone. Now, his first ability, that 5k, like when I read that, I was like, Heretical Knight Garland. This guy in a Earth Fire Knight deck, you play him, he deals 5k to all the forwards their control. You pay the 4 for Heretical Knight Garland's ability, and you swing, he deals 5k to all forwards opponent's controls. And now you just board cleared.
That sounds pretty sick. How much? All right, so it's a legendary. So this is going to be a chase card.
And he's a 9k for 6, which is pretty good. And that ability is really good.
All right, so this is a card that I'm probably
Also
going to...
art.
Yeah, the art's pretty sick. This is probably a card I'm going to want in the Lightning Fire deck. Almost for sure.
Monster removal and 5k across the field. And then you could kick that on. You could drop a Chaos a Cyclops on top of that and reduce their power by 3k, killing all the 8ks.
Right. So how much do you think this card's going to go for? Like, Veritas is currently going for 25. What do you think this is going to go for? Definitely not the same strength as Veritas.
It's because he's not good in all decks. Water can't play this. Wind can't play this. Earth can't play this. Well, I mean, they can, but they're not going to kick those abilities. So it's secluding 3 of the elements.
$15.
Right. Yeah, I would probably say $15. Actually,
$15.
that's almost exactly what I was say. About $15, $16, I bet you he's going to go for.
Okay, can we please talk about this? What is that? That costs 3 Lily?
The little T? Yeah,
Little T?
the Earth. So
That looks adorable.
this is another Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles card, which I'm actually excited they're doing, and I bet you it's because they're making a remake of the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, which I am super hyped for because they're going to have multiplayer that you don't have to own like fucking 10 Game Boys and hook them up with weird Game Boy connector cables to your GameCube. Anyways, I'm getting off track. This card's actually pretty good.
I can taste that salt.
I loved that game. I still do.
I've never played it. You should totally lend it to me when it comes out, because I'm not gonna lie. When it comes to Final Fantasy spin-offs, I tend to be very, very skeptical because all the ones I've played, they don't necessarily play like Final Fantasy normally, and 2, I never have liked them. Like, I don't like tactics.
This is straight up my favorite Final Fantasy game.
Why?
It's so good. It's got like really great RPG elements, and the story's good, and like at the time the combat was just phenomenal. Like, you've got actual dynamic combat, and like the spell casting system was fucking awesome. You had races that impacted the gameplay. Like, it was a good game.
Okay.
It still is. I play it on my computer still on Dolphin.
You'll have to like lend me a copy so I can see what it's all about.
Yeah, when I get this, you'll definitely play it. Anyways, when she entered the field, or she, it's a little T. I don't know. They all are little turnip baby children.
I think the way you pronounce this adorable Lil T, because I thought Lil T, but like that way of pronouncing it sounds cooler. It's I hope that catches on. It's Lil T. It ain't Lil T.
It's a little.
It's Lil T.
Yeah, Lil T.
That's her gangster rap name.
It's 3 cost $7K, pretty standard. And then when Lil T is blocks, choose one forward in your break zone, add to your hand.
Her cousin is Ice T.
Ice T and Lil T.
Ice T and Lil T.
It's actually a race in the game.
A race.
Yeah, that's not her name. That's like Gladiator or Selkie or Uke. These are all just races. Yeah, that's in the game you have Little T's, you have Selkies, you have Ukes, and what are just the normal human people? I don't know because they're boring.
Gaians.
No.
Don't they always like name the planet in Final Fantasy Gaia?
Almost always. I don't know if it's named that in Crystal Chronicles.
All right.
Let's look at this lightning goblin.
The Joblin.
The goblin.
The goblin.
We got a new goblin monster.
Goblin.
2 cost, and during your turn, goblin also becomes a forward with 5k power. So you don't trigger it. It's an auto ability that happens when it's your turn and becomes a 5k.
Okay, so here's my question. With Square Enix having ultimate power over the game and its mechanics, why didn't they just make the Crystal Hunt characters play like Crystal Hunt? Like it says, when this card is played, put it back into your hand, shuffle them up, have your opponent pick one. If it is the monster, do this. Like that would be so cool. Like I would love to build a Crystal Hunt deck and play Crystal Hunt.
And just play Crystal Hunt while you're playing the game. You play the Bahamut, and it's like discard it. If your opponent doesn't discard a Chocobo from hand, reveal hand. That would be a great card. Like, I mean, so it's either reveal, or if they just happen to have a card named Chocobo in hand, they could negate it.
I don't think that would be too OP. Especially.
No, that wouldn't be OP at all. It'd be either a discard or a reveal hand, which isn't bad.
I think that would be really cool. I'd really enjoy that.
I'd play it just for the meme. Bahamut.
Me personally, I'm looking at just collect because I like the Crystal Hunt. And I have a lot of fond memories of playing it with you and with my friends, like the Crystal Hunt. I might actually just want to build a Crystal Hunt deck or amass as many of the cards as possible to see, just so I could have them for the collection.
I'm just gonna put all the new FFT CG cards in my sleeves for Crystal Hunt and play them as those.
That would also be kind of cool because I mean, essentially, like the Goblin, except what was
fire, I believe.
Goblin's fire in Crystal Hunt.
Oh well, he's now lightning. You gotta make my own lightning crystal cards.
This is just notable. Like I honestly don't see, aside from the drawing 2 cards thing, I don't see a huge amount of like utility out of the Goblin.
No.
But it's notable because I just happen to like Crystal Hunt and the artwork on it is cool.
Same. And he's not really big, but you know, if you can manage to draw those 2 cards, like he's like a Zidane.
Yeah.
Just without unblockability.
In fact, on the question of like on the subject of card draw, I have noticed while in most games card draw is usually very, very powerful, in Final Fantasy card draw is less so because you still manage to draw a lot of cards every turn anyway.
Yeah.
In Yu-Gi-Oh, drawing 1 extra card is like the difference between winning a game and losing a game. Drawing 2 cards means you're probably going to win the game. In Magic the Gathering, drawing another card is the difference between bricking. In Final Fantasy, drawing another card is definitely an advantage, but it's usually mostly like a cost difference.
Yeah, so I think the reason why it's not so like important, I mean, it is really good, is because you have to discard cards to pay, and then you can't get more than 5 CP on the field like in Magic. Like, you can just have as much fucking mana on the field as turns you've played, or even like put in a bunch of growth spells in to get more land. Right. And then you could just drop tons of cards all in one turn. But I mean, you still have to discard in Final Fantasy, and I think they've done a really good job balancing out card draw in the game. That way, you can't just infinitely draw cards. I mean, there is a combo, but it's ridiculous and impossible to get off. I mean, I have a deck that does it.
Fuck you. I've watched you infinitely draw like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, but I mean, I either win or I lose the game because I've drawn my entire deck.
It's a stupid idea, but it is.
It's like a 12-piece combo to draw your whole deck, and like, oh no, what am I gonna do? And then really, like, the win condition in that deck isn't even drawing cards; it's activating Onion Knight 1,000 times. Because I could just bounce him to hand and play him again and attack, and bounce him to hand and play him again and attack. Well, actually, he plays himself. That's why you can play him during your fight phase, because he just bounces to hand and then auto goes back to the field, and then he's a new card and you can attack with him again because he has haste.
So anyway, the next card.
Yeah. So there is a this 4-cost water backup from it's another 15, so it's water.
It's from 15.
This is the main bad guy. Main bad guy. He's the Emperor of Niflheim.
I never really looked at him as a bad guy so much as like, see,
maybe he's just manipulated by Arden.
I don't know. The thing that makes this the feud between Insomnia and Niflheim is interesting because it's very political, which means
it depends on what side you're on.
It's really subjective who's in the right and who's in the wrong.
Well, the way I look at it on why Niflheim is in the wrong is because of all the human experimentation and like demon summoning they're doing.
Right. But also you can't say that Insomnia was any better with the way it decided to create super soldiers by, subjecting people to crazy like training and shit.
I mean, yeah, you like the Kingsglaive, you mean? Well, I mean, like they volunteer,
like Prompto.
And 2, they're getting fucking awesome magic powers from the king.
Right, but it's the same conflict. Like, who cares if you're Master Chief, it doesn't make you any less sad.
Right.
You're still your childhood is gone. Like when you talk like. And every moment when Prompto gets deep and he like sheds that facade and he talks about how, man, being Kingsglaive is the fucking worst. I have no life.
Yeah.
The only upside to this is that you're my best friend. Like, that's fucking shit. It makes me want to cry every goddamn time.
Actually, yeah. I like, speaking of Prompto, is like that because Prompto, like both Ignis and Gladiolus were born to it. Like they were born into the royal family, like helping the royal family. His Gladiolus' father protected, Noctis's dad.
They're basically the
Ignis,
Sheikah. That life sucks.
Right. So like that's all they've known. Well, Prompto is just a kid.
Yeah.
So like I mean, his perspective is like the only one that's not like, oh, I was born to this. Of course, it's same as Noctis. He was born into it too.
Right. I don't have a lot of the context to like Prompto, but like there was that thing where he had the chip in his arm because he actually was from Niflheim and he had some kind of genetic experiment done on him. Like, I don't know. I don't have a lot of context. I don't know if that's like in the DLC or whatever, but all I can say is I don't think that Insomnia is much better than Niflheim. And the whole idea that one could easily argue that Niflheim is the worst ones because they invaded. But the problem...
I mean, they kind of did it in a real dick way. They were doing peace talks, and they were like, we steal your crystal.
Right, but here's also the problem is, like... Insomnia, and part of the conflict that you had going on with Noctis was that the marriage was purely political so that they could just achieve... Like, it was a passive-aggressive war.
They liked each other.
Yeah, huh?
I said they liked each other.
They did as friends. Like, that much is clear.
I mean, if you can't find someone to love, just marry your best friend and you'll be happy.
But having said that,
you know, we should get married, Ryan.
We should. But like you got to admit though, like the whole idea of a passive aggressive war where you're sitting there trying to marry off your son to the kingdom next door so you have like power over them is pretty scummy too.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, other than Luna Freya was like his ward in the beginning anyways. I mean, yeah, I understand both sides, but I'm still biased against Niflheim. I feel like they're just dicks.
I really can't say. Especially since Arden is a good example of like the abuse of insomnia.
Huge. I mean, being the first king and like the actual like the proper heir and being, you know, usurped by his younger brother and then locked away. That's a terribly sad story. But it doesn't mean you should be a dick and go and, you know, kill Regis, who was actually a good king.
I wouldn't know much about it because my only exposure to Regis was, okay, son, you go out there. Okay, daddy, please stop talking to me now.
Yeah.
That was like my whole experience with Regis. I didn't see any
There's
of
a lot of like outside of game like lore.
Kingsglaive the film.
Yeah, or the free game they released on PlayStation that's about Regis.
Yeah, I have none of this context. So sometime you and I should sit down and we should consume this media.
We should. Yeah, I agree.
I'd really appreciate that.
Let's go to the next card. I believe we should talk about Adele.
Adele. So the cute cost 4 up there. Hello? Is it me you're looking for?
No. So 4 cost 7K. If you control a category Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2 forward other than Adele gains 2,000 power and haste. If you control 5 or more backups, Adele cannot be blocked. Actually, that's really good.
That's pretty fucking sick.
Really good.
This is actually making FFTA a pretty good archetype on its own.
I also still I really like this artwork that they're doing. It's kind of like comic book art.
It's actually kind of different compared. Is this a different artist altogether?
I think it is, yeah.
Because like this one's more like on the sketchy side, and then it's got the screen tones on it and stuff.
The character design is
by Ryoma Ito. Ryoma Ito.
Yeah. So actually, like she's a little pricey, but that last ability, that 5 backups and she can't be blocked is really good.
And it's just 5 backups. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what they are. So you can run it in like where apparently Tactics Advance 2 really wants to go, which is Lightning Wind.
That would be pretty sick.
So let's go to Hurdy. I don't know if we talked about him last time, but he's also...
Fuck it. Hurdy's adorable. Let's talk about Hurdy again.
Same artwork. He's a 3 cost backup, and he's full art in this.
When Hurdy enters the field, reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a character, add it to your hand. That's actually really sick. Dull. Put Hurdy into the break zone. Choose one category. FFTA 2 other forward in your break zone and add to your hand. Hurdy's just a good card now.
So Hurdy is now the cheaper miner.
And he's an ice in this?
Yeah, he's ice. Yeah. I think Hurdy's always ice, isn't he?
He's always ice.
Yeah. I have a really nice foil Hurdy.
I like Hurdy. He's adorable.
Yeah, he is. I honestly like all those the Moogles from the TA. So let's talk about Golem.
The cost 2 Earth Golem. He is now a summon with an EX burst.
From Type 0. So he's searchable by your Type 0 card searcher dudes.
Type 0 is still getting...
Vermilion Bird, El Cid, what's her name?
You know, for a one-time released PSP game, they sure as shit are getting a lot of love from this game.
Yeah.
Do you think I should play it?
They re-released it, Type 0. They re-released it on PlayStation when they did for pre-order people that pre-ordered 15. They gave it to them for free.
I was thinking about getting it because I saw it was $20, and I want to try to. It looks cool, and I don't know if I want to play it or not. Obviously, I didn't get it because last night I was like, "Oh, I got my pay. I'm gonna go buy a game," and I saw Iga Sensei's Bloodstain came out, and I was like, "Got to do it, man!" Because I'm a hardcore Castlevania fan. Like me and Castlevania, like if they made a Castlevania card game, I'd probably piss all over my FF cards and start playing Castlevania.
Fuck this shit. Fuck this shit. I'm out.
It could even be a bad game, and I'd still play it because I'm that kind of guy.
So it's another card draw. It's an EX. Choose one for it against 2K until the end of turn and draw a card for 2. So he's either free or even more free when you take damage.
That's awesome. I had Type Zeros and Mono Earth. Play it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Actually, it really could go into anything that splashes Earth.
Yeah. I think the Type 0 doesn't really matter here at this point because you Type 0 generally runs fire, wind, and lightning and not even Earth. There's like a couple of Earth summons, I think, and I think a monster, but I think that's about it for Type 0. And then there's, I think we have about 2 more cards to look at. We got Baknami, this guy wearing a gas mask and pig ears.
Oh, so he's from 13, but he from the artwork and the way he's dressed, he looks like he would absolutely be at home in Borderlands. 12. Is that 12?
Yeah, it's
12.
hard to see from here.
Yeah, it is kind of.
I had to look at it like 3 times.
But he really does. He looks like he's at home in Borderlands.
Yeah, he does.
Like he's
like a psycho.
Or I hope that is in Borderlands 3.
Yes, I want that in Borderlands 3. 3 cost, 7k, lightning. When a lightning forward other than Baknami enters the field, choose a forward opponent controls.
Covered like a champ.
Smells terrible.
Ew. What have you been drinking?
Alcohol and beer.
I don't know, man. I like the smell of alcohol.
All right, and then we got one more card after this, and then we'll go to the footage.
Yeah, Baknami seems a little underwhelming there.
Yeah.
Another.
I mean, I'm sure someone can like break him and make him do something real weird. Is this 3 cost ice forward for 8k standard unit?
Airborne Trooper.
Very generic. Another Type 0. Which actually, I'm glad that Ice is getting more Type 0 cards because I feel like Ice could do really good in a Type 0 setting. But like some of their cards are super underwhelming.
When forward other than Airborne Trooper enters the field, Airborne Trooper loses all its abilities until the end of the turn.
He also can't attack.
Why would you want to play this?
Exactly. So he's a 3 cost 8k that you have to play a forward for him to attack.
He can't
because he loses his abilities.
This is fucking awful. What? Okay. There's got to be some kind of catch here because I don't know.
There's some synergy that's going to come out that might make him good because right now this is not good.
Because this seems like this is as bad as discard your whole hand. Like
who's Jake? Who I think it's Jake who can't attack and his S cost is to lose all abilities. He's like a 1 cost 7k. Okay. He's also a Type 0. He's in lightning. I think it's Jake. Anyways, just like this, like just seemingly rubbish.
This is so weird.
But I mean, there's probably there's going to be a deck that plays it because some dude will make some jank and it'll be good in it. And I hope there is a catch where something enters the field that like makes Airborne Trooper super good.
I hope so too, because this, like, they've got to understand how awful that is. Like, they made the card
not good.
And they've been consistent with making really good designs. Like, even on their like low cost cards or their starter cards, like all their shit is good.
Pretty good, yeah. All right, so now we're gonna go to the first bit of footage, and this is myself on the right and William on the left. I am playing a Warriors of Darkness, and William is playing Mono Lightning stuff.
Brendan's Mono Lightning. Poor William.
I don't know. I didn't play his Type 0. Like I helped him work out the Type 0, and it's pretty good now.
Yeah, William, he's a little flaky. He thinks everybody else's deck is better than his.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I also kind of have this problem. Like, I just don't know how to use my own decks like 90% of the time.
He's actually pretty good at card games, which I'm really surprised because he does really well in Magic, too. I mean, he does some plays that are like, oh, you should have thought out that because he's very spontaneous. His nickname is Spaz for a reason.
Does he know that?
Yeah, he knows it.
He knows? Okay.
Yeah, well, people call it to him, so.
How long has he been going to the store? Or is he as new as I was? Like, I met him the day he showed up.
He's, I think, like a month or two before you started showing up.
Okay.
He used to go to our other card shop here in town.
Pyramid?
No, that's been gone for a long time. Whose name we will not disclose. And it was like, apparently he didn't like it very much, and like their tournaments never kicked.
You're gonna have to give me context to that later.
Yeah.
So he's already starting off really strong. He's got out King of Burmecia, and he's going to search out a Dragoon, obviously.
Which in your hand, if you don't know the deck, looks really good, but the only card in that deck that's a Dragoon is a Stinian, and you do not want that on turn 1.
Oof. Okay, so is
normally,
that the only reason,
that'd be a great play.
Is that the only reason, like, Brendan put in the Burmese King?
Correct, because he only has one Estinian.
Oh, that's kind of iffy.
Yeah.
All right. He's actually a pretty fast player, too, when he's not sitting there talking a lot.
Yeah.
I know.
He gets distracted, too.
I know, like, I'm sitting here complaining about it, but, like...
Drop Z-Moose for lightning, hit me with lightning, yep.
But I talk a lot, too. Like, the other day, you were like, fucking play the game, dude. Fucking play the game. Stop talking about stocks.
It's all good. You know, like, I mean, I talk a lot, too. I just tend to play while I talk.
Well, I don't have the cards and how they work and all the plays
That's
memorized
true.
like you do.
Yeah, because I know what the card does. Just looking at the card's picture tells me I don't have to read it. Drawing cards upside down. So I've played 2 monks because they were on my 2-cost backups in hand for 2 masked womans, which I do not like doing because I only have 2 masked womans.
And Masked Woman is a really good card.
Yeah, it's when she enters the field, choose a dual forward and break it, which is really a 4-cost or less, I believe. Yeah, 4-cost or less and break it, which is really good.
It just says dull.
Is it dull?
I think it's just dull because
we'll pull it up on the screen.
I use
you guys
it to
will
kill
know.
King in my Choco Bros. When I'm going up against my brothers type zeros, I use it to kill King. I could be misplaying, but having said that, I don't think the monks is a bad play because the monks are like a nice big old like they're kind of like Coeurl as a backup. They're deceptively good. They don't look like much, but
he plays a Stinian here, really, really early,
and that really hurts his hand.
Yeah, and it's really gonna hurt him in just a second.
What's going on here?
Nox S is deal 8k to a forward.
Oh. Oh, no. Oh.
And I wasn't about to let him put Lulu on the field and bump up his guy, so I just was like, I got to get rid of it now. And as you can tell, I was really thinking about it. I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to get rid of my second knock from hand right now because I don't know what he's got to break me. But at the same time, I can't let Estinian, who when becomes block breaks the forward, just chill.
I want to see this kid go to Worlds and then annoy the shit out of everyone there.
That'd be pretty great. So he's going to discard. Oh, no. Discard lightning. You can't use lightning. Okay. So he plays Diana, and then he thought Estinian, he could pull Estinian out, and I was like, it's an FFL, so it's going to be Janai.
He doesn't... Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so he's got Janai in his
he should have totally chucked out the lightning
because lightning's useless now because I've got a 8k sitting there.
But is it much better? Because like he chucks out a cost 6 that he can't even use.
I believe it pulls 2 characters out of your break zone when you play it or something like that.
Yeah, but he's not generating that cost.
Oh no, it puts a 3 cost 6. It puts a 3 cost from your break zone onto the field, a backup, a 3 cost backup or less onto the field.
Can I tell you, I love watching this footage more when I don't know what's going to happen. I find
you're like, ooh.
Oh yeah, this is entertaining to me. Maybe I should just start skipping out on tournaments
and just watching.
And just start watching because this is entertaining as hell.
How do you feel about our the new camera angle?
I have a bit of a preference because it's much clearer, and as silly as this sounds, it's also getting in the hands slightly better. I know this is going to be my same complaint as always, but I really, really wish you had a hand camera and reaction cameras.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, that's
I
like
can't afford it more.
Yeah, that's crazy expensive. You're talking about 4 more fucking cameras.
If you guys want to, donate to our Patreon, which does not exist, to get us new cameras.
Yeah.
It's Patreon / this is not a page / FFT dot we don't have a patreon.com.
I'll make you guys a deal. If you guys actually like what we're doing here, we'll make a Patreon so you guys can give us some money so we can improve doing this. Because honestly, my favorite part, I know we always start off talking about the game a lot, and we talk about the meta, and we talk about the spoilers. But the best part in my opinion, about this podcast in general is watching the tournament footage and talking about the games. That's the fun part. God, Momodi's so good.
I love Momodi.
What's her
think-
rarity?
She's only a rare, I believe. So she's not hero or legend. I do make a misplay, not in this game. I think I might. I know I not that it affected the game at all, but in Dan's match, I play Momodi and I play her to the field active, and I don't know why.
Oof.
I don't use her the entire game because I win the same turn. I'm pretty sure I play her, but I was like, watching the footage later, I was like, why is Momodi active? What am I doing?
So you know what's weird is how was he talking to you this whole game? Was he like spazzing out at you? Because he's got a game face on right now.
Yeah,
he's
he
got
does.
a very fucking serious ass face.
Yeah, he was talking. Glaive, search for Diana, and I don't think I play Diana this turn, but when I do, I pull knocked out of the break zone.
This is already a pretty big board, and you've already broken his hand advantage because the Estinian play was the mistake. I think that's really going to...
Big time.
That was what's costing him the game, is that it took up a lot of resources and just to play it.
That was
so
me
early.
hitting Alba with Momodi and swinging, by the way. That's why she's not dulled down.
Okay.
I know it wasn't clear because I wasn't tapping anything, and we don't have any audio.
He just pulled out an Alua, which isn't bad. It's not going to do him much. If I were him, I would play the Alua at this point. He could probably...
Because
don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, good. That's exactly...
Yeah, well, he didn't have enough to play the Ramu. He needs 4 for Ramu.
Oh, I didn't see that there.
Cecil the Alua as soon as she comes onto the field.
Did he? So he hit
So-
you, and you took the damage, and then he got the Cecil.
Yep. So
That was so lucky.
the way you play, you should never play a forward you don't plan to attack with on your main phase 1. I mean, he could have attacked with Alua, but he could also just as easily get Alua killed because I had a 6k on the field.
Well, I mean, I think it's still worth it to play on the main phase 1 for that summon protection.
Am I just deciding who I want to pull out? Yeah.
Knocked. I'm sorry. Natched.
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 I really hate ditching those summoners for cost because I love to play that 6 cost water summon to put 2 cards in your hand.
The Slydra.
Yeah, who bounces 2 cards from your field to your hand. I
That's
love
so
that
good.
play, and it wins games. Like that's a finish the game. You have no blockers because 2 is generally what people chill at like stable board is 2 to 3, and if I can dull something down or bounce 2 to hand, that's generally wins me the game. And then he's trying to figure out what the text is.
So
And I'm like,
how would you have played William's opening hand? Because, like, obviously the Estinian search was not very good. So how would you have played that instead? 'Cause
well,
I'm sitting here going, I'm not 100% sure what was the right way to start that.
we'll have to look. I'd have to look at it again, what it was actually in his hand. But if he had that Sid Privy, I believe it is, that when it's a 6 cost and when you play to the field, pull a 3 cost out of your break zone, play it to the field, I would have played that card, ditching King of Burmecia as part of the cost, and then pop King of Burmecia onto the field
that would
from
have net you
Sid's Go,
something.
which would give you 2 backups out of 6 CP and put a Estinian in your hand. And then you don't have to have Estinian to win in that deck.
Yeah, Brendan was saying that it's just a win more card.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there, and I'm like, okay, why is it in the deck? And he's like, because I like it. That's a really weird, like, thing. Like, if you
Yeah, it
know
is.
it's not netting you any game plus, like, why are you playing it? Ugh,
After combat using Hecatoncheir.
that's pretty savage. I'm going to keep that play in mind because I've always been playing it before combat.
Yeah, always
as a
after combat
fluffer.
because they almost always take the damage unless you wanted to die, like in the game that I played against you, where I intentionally killed Glaive using Hecatoncheir.
Right, and you could just get him back with, obviously, Diana.
Yeah, actually, I believe I had a Glaive in hand in that footage in that tournament. I had Glaive in hand and I wanted him to die so I could find a Diana. Played a Lightning, swing and call it game. Yeah, he swings and he's like, yeah.
He is a non-stop, like just constantly talking.
But I
Can
mean,
you imagine if he slowed down and played?
yeah, like if he chilled, he'd be a much better player. Like if he could just calm down, which I honestly think that in the future he'll be a really good player once he just calms down, because he's good already and he's like 9 years old. I don't know, he's like 13 or something.
He better not be 9.
He's like 13. He's a pretty good player. So up here is myself and Dan.
And then is
We have another one, but that'll have to wait for another day.
so Dan? He's a pretty good player. He's been playing for a while, but also he has a tendency to lose his cool really quick when he's on the losing end of a game. And honestly, I hate to say this, but I think the best way to get at Dan is to play the psychological end of the game.
Definitely.
And he will cave so quickly. And that's kind of weird, because I don't normally think of FF as a game you normally want to play the psychological game in. Like in Magic and in Yu-Gi-Oh! Those are games where you play the psychological game because there's a lot of randomness to it. But in this, there's a lot of like a regular pacing and a speed.
Such a good opening hand.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
3 onto the field in one go. So I think this is Lyle for Hecatoncheir, or Yojimbo. Not Hecatoncheir, for Yojimbo. And
he's got Yuna there, and that's so good. He played the Artemisian, and I assume he's whiffing Artemisian.
Oh, no, I go for the hit with, I think I discard Janai and Noct or Glaive.
You're looking really hesitant there to play that.
Well, so he's playing mono water with 3 Veritaases, and I really do not want him to get the upper hand.
Right, because as soon as he has the damage lead, the Veritas almost certainly means when it hits the board, he's keeping that lead for a long time. Which is the reason why I really think that we need to have a discussion about banning that freaking card.
Yeah.
Because, like, that card just nets too much value. Like, you at best, you're ruining 4 C. Like, you're having your opponent throw away at least 4 cards at its lowest cost.
I finally ditched that Carbuncle. I was really struggling not to ditch Carbuncle, because Carbuncle is a just cancel summon for 3, and against a water deck, you really want that. And I'm going for
Knight hit the Veritas.
Knight says it gains 1k for each backup you control, so it's a 6k, and I'm just taking a chance that he's not going to kill his Knight straight off. Even though that it would probably be more value to let Knight die to Alua, because Alua costs 1 more.
Now, Dan played that opening hand really quickly. Is he a dude who memorizes his plays and then just kind of plays it on sight?
I don't know. I actually, that would have been probably the same play I would have done if I had 2 or 3 2-cost backups in hand. I would have just played the whole thing, especially since it's a pretty new deck to Dan, and the cards that he had in hand weren't really that bad. I mean, he had a Viking, I believe that's a Leviathan, and a Cecil. Like, those are all cards that can go in the break zone, especially Viking, because you can just bounce it back out with a Layla.
Is that your way of saying he didn't memorize it, or he did?
I don't think that's a play, like a memorized play. Gonna bounce Glaive to hand, which is kind of a weird play, because Glaive is a searcher.
Right, and when you play him, he does this thing. Now, what do you think the reason for that was? Was that just him not knowing what to do, or?
Oh, well, I mean, Alua would have stopped the ability, so he couldn't bounce Alua to hand because of the shield.
Right, but he also didn't have to play the ability to begin with.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about. I think he was just trying to keep my board state down, and he was like, Glaive's an expensive card, but like, one, Glaive wasn't buffing any Warriors of Darkness. There weren't any on the field, or any FFLs is what they buff. Yeah, so she wasn't buffing any category FFLs, because Lulu is a tactics advance too, and I could just get the Diana search off again.
Right.
Which just gives me more CP.
Did you wind up winning this one? Spoiler.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sitting here trying to think about the utility of that. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was just under that pressure and he made a impulsive play there.
Under pressure, pushing down on me, pushing down on you.
Talking dirty to me. Just keep talking dirty. This is getting weird, guys.
I really like what's his name? Like not Gabranth. What is like
Gebram.
Galf?
Yeah, Galf.
No, I don't. What is? He's right. I think I ditch him in that, or no. He's right underneath Noct. I don't remember his name. I'm sure he'll be on top of the discard here in a second to play Noct to the field.
This is a pretty slow game between you two.
Yeah, well, I'm being very cautious actually. Yeah, okay. And there he goes underneath the. Yeah, okay. I won't.
I think his name is Graham.
Graham? That does sound
Graham.
right. Yeah, if you have 4 points of damage, you break something when he leaves the field, and he's a 9k. I actually really like the card. And then if Glaive is on the field, he's an 11k because he's an FFL. And then he can also be a target for Diana. Even though he's not a Warrior of Darkness, like, it's really good.
Nice.
Making that, and he goes to take it, but then, and then hits it with Viking.
Yeah, at the last minute he goes, oh, hey,
Which
I
is
don't know how to
good,
do
because
that.
that's a Minwoo.
A Minwoo, what do you mean?
He pulled a Minwoo into hand.
Oh, okay.
Off of that, he either would have hit Minwoo into his break zone.
Yeah, that would have sucked. And
or
wait,
his
into the
damage,
break
into
zone?
the
What are you talking
damage,
about? That's
into
the
his
damage zone.
I don't, leave me alone.
How are you one of the best players
I'm
local?
I don't know.
This is
Don't look
coming
at me.
from the same dude who pushes my monsters back onto the mat, turns his deck sideways, but then also says follow the rules to a T.
What? I try my best to follow the rules to a T. Try.
But when the professional players do, it's okay, right?
What?
You use that argument all the time. Like, why are you doing this but not this? And he's like, because professional players do this.
Is that what I say?
Yeah, you said that last time when I was like, I don't remember what we were arguing about, but I just thought it was completely ridiculous. And I wasn't, and the thing was, and you probably should learn this, is like when I'm trolling you, because I'm sitting here clearly just getting off on how funny it is that you're flustered over your inconsistencies, and you're sitting there trying to defend yourself. I'm like, you don't even need to do this. I am laughing at the fact that you're defending the silliness here, because like, the field is mostly abstract. Like, it barely matters as long as everything is in the general area of where the things need to go. Nobody cares.
Except for me.
Except for him. Because apparently it's a big deal to him.
Massively OCD. I mean, you'll watch me straighten my cards like 20 times in a game.
And then leave his deck crooked, so.
Yeah. What you mean, like it is right now?
Yeah, like exactly how it is right now.
That's just like, it's nice and easy to draw when it's like at an angle like that. I don't want it at it like straight up. There I am straightening it, and again. Twice in a row.
And I remember when I play Black Knight or Coeurl, I usually put it between the two mats because in my mind it makes sense because the monster is the key point of interaction that I'm having with the player. So it makes sense, but then he immediately turns his nose up and goes, huh, leave it to a Yu-Gi-Oh player to put his disgusting cards onto another person's mat. I was
Maybe it's just because like I came from Magic and you do not like share mats, and in Yu-Gi-Oh you do.
No, but it's still, even in Magic, there's a lot of cards that attach and like
right, but they don't
interact.
Like,
you
don't
throw them at your opponent and be like, put that on this. Like, it still makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
And even you do that. Like, when you play summons, you toss your cards at the opponent. Like, when you Death Gaze, you throw Death Gaze straight at the card you want to Death Gaze. I don't know why it's okay to do it in that situation, but when I put down Black Knight, you're like, fucking get that disgusting shit off my mat, son. If everyone's wondering why we're not commenting on this, like, this game is very straightforward. Like, it is a stalemate here. Both players are building up their board. They're both trying to do something. Jesse's playing super cautiously, pecking. Not much has changed. Like, no one's making exciting plays or anything. Like, this is just This is the unfortunate thing about a lot of like professional card game and like competitive card game playing is that two good players put each other at a standstill and then not much changes about the game. And this is not a very good. It often is not a very good spectacle to watch.
Yeah.
The spectacle that is good to watch is, and probably the reason why Yu-Gi-Oh is still like is easy to watch is because when you a single card can turn the tide of the entire game.
Ha ha ha! You've activated my trap card.
I wish. The original grab of Yu-Gi-Oh was that you could play cards face down. Like, there's still no card games that do that, which is dumb in my opinion.
Mean, Magic has like a couple of face down cards, which is kind of weird. They have there's monsters that creatures you play on the field, right? Face down for a different cost than their actual cost, and then they're like a different. They don't have any abilities. Yeah, and then you flip them.
I think it was Transform or Morph.
And you could be like, ha ha ha! You didn't know I had a 10-10. Ha ha! I fool you.
But and I still put it out there that one of the best mechanics in a trading card game is the ability that Yu-Gi-Oh came up with setting a card face down. And I'm annoyed that there's just no card games that really take advantage of that, because the problem is now in Yu-Gi-Oh with the way the cards are coming out is that nobody wants to. Well, the meta's shaping up differently, but really trap cards have fallen out of favor in the game because they're slow. Because you set a card, it waits a turn. When really a lot of players just want something that builds a board now.
They want hand traps or something that's good on the field.
Right. And I don't know. I miss.
Here's why I play Momodi active, because I'm a retard.
Oof.
This game is actually really flustering me.
Game loss. Game loss right there. You misused that card.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I don't even go to the next phase or use it. So I swing with Glaive, and he blocks with Viking, as I assume he does, because Glaive is only a 7k, and his knight is much bigger than Glaive. And then I attack, and he Leviathans me.
I don't see Leviathan in hand. Oh, shit, that's Leviathan.
And then I have to decide what I'm like. Yeah, I was like, wait, hold on, what? Like, no. Fuck that Leviathan.
Yeah, look at them. Like, this is the riveting gameplay of professional play, and there's they're arguing, they're sharking each other, they're making decisions on cards. I really, really wish we had a face cam, because Dan is a very expressive person when it comes to playing. Like,
I just look like I'm grumpy the whole time.
He would be entertaining to watch.
Yeah,
he would be very, very entertaining. I wish we had a face cam here. Maybe sometime I'll have to bring my other camera from home and we could set it up as a face cam.
Yeah, that would work.
I think I've got 1 or 2 cameras at home that we could use as face
Alba's
cams.
an 8, and I'm okay with Alba dying. And I swing with Alua.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's one more point and it's over.
And then I'm pretty sure he drops because he doesn't have any forwards in hand. So he's cracking Gladiator for Viking to draw a card and try to get a forward. And then he Famfrits, and I think I take out Alua. Or he Famfrits on my next turn, I think. Yeah, because it's after Viking dies.
This is pretty intense because, like now, I don't know. If I were in his position, I'd be scooping at this point because, like, there's not a lot you can do, and there's no EX that's going to save you. You know,
a Veritas and Hecatonchi are in hand, and then I have a hard time breaking my monks, so I swing with Alua, and he chooses.
Why do you have a hard time breaking monks? It's like they're a quick and easy way to just get straight to what you want.
And then he Leviathans me, knocked back to my hand, and then I go to swing, and he fanfrits, and I'm like, okay, so Alua dies.
And the attack goes through, and that's game.
Yep.
Valiant effort on that last one. I'm not sure how he thought the fanfrit would work.
See, I would have fanfritted before I blocked with Viking. But then again, Viking, or actually, he should have fanfritted before he played the Viking. But Viking drew him the fanfrit, which is the problem.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
Oh, so those are really, really interesting games. My favorite really was that one with Dan. Not that there was a lot to comment on. It was just really interesting to see that there was a lot, a quick and easy back and forth, a lot of very fast decision making, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, so anyway, I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's all we have for you guys today.
All right, thanks for joining us, guys. This is FFT Final Fantasy Talks. I was your host, Ryan.
And I'm Jesse.
And you guys stay Final Fantastic.